we're going to do a quick review. Actually, this is probably not going to be quick, but a review of health so that you're familiar with some of the things that you'll need to know. First thing for your exam you'll definitely need to know is your bones. Okay, be familiar with your bones. You have 206 of those in your body, and be familiar with them. So you know, obviously, this is your skull and your cranium. Then, all right, I want you to touch your sternum. Yep, that's your breastbone. Touch your humerus. Okay, this is your humerus. Touch your ribs. Your vertebrae. Yeah, that's your spinal column back there. Touch your tarsals. You should be grabbing your ankles. Your ankles. Those are your tarsals. All right. Um, your femur. That's the long bone of your leg. Let's see. Scapula. That's your shoulder blades. Your phalanges. Alright, you should be waving your fingers and your toes. Did you do both? Your pelvis. Okay, that's like your hip bones. Your patella. Grab your kneecaps. Okay, your carpals. That's your wrists. These wrists right here. Remember, you drive a car with your carpals and you walk on the tar with your tarsals. That's how you remember the difference. So your feet are your tarsals and your hands are your carpals. Then what about your, let's see, your vertebrae? Yep, anywhere in your backbone is fine. And make sure you're familiar with those. Then we also talked about some different places where the bones come together, and this is your joints because it's where they join together. Yep, your joints. Now, bone to bone, this is your ligaments, and then your tendons is muscle to bone. How I think of that is I think of chicken tenders. That's like you. It's gross to think about, but like tenderloins, those are the muscles, and then you can find some of those like white things. If you look at the raw meat attached, they would attach to the bone. That would be these are your tendons connecting your muscle to your bone. Now we're thinking about your ligaments. This is joining the bone to the bone, and so we're talking about joints. Your joints that go from side to side, like a door, would be a hinge joint. So they go from side to side. Your elbows side to side, they open and close, open and close. Your elbows, this would be a hinge joint, but then your shoulders right here, they go all around, right? They go all around this way, all around this way. So this is like, think of a ball, and then it's in a socket because it can go all around. It can go forward, backwards, up. It's a ball and socket joint. Your hips are also ball and socket joints. But then everything that goes back and forth, this would be your hinge joints. And then your ones that go from side to side, that would be pivot. Elbows, those would be hinge. Wrists, hinge. Shoulders, ball and socket, because you have a wide range of motion with those. Those are important to know. Okay, so be familiar with all your bones. Let's see. Okay, so what's the bony framework of your body? This is your skeleton. What kind of joint is your knee? I think your knee goes from open and closed like a door, so it's a hinge joint. Your main support of your body, that's your spinal column or your vertebrae, and your backbone is 33 bones, and they're called your vertebrae. The way you hold your body, this is your posture, right? Vitamin D helps the body to absorb calcium. That's been a long time. Something you do without thinking about it. Habit. It's your habit. And the ribs, they protect your heart and your lungs. I know it's been a while since we've gone over those things, huh? Now, chapter 2 was the muscles. Your muscles. What is your muscle that would give you a headache? In the front of your face? Front of your face is your frontalis, the ones that would chew your food. This is your masseters, they mash up your food. Then you have your biceps. These are the top. Then you have underneath. This is your triceps. You have your abdominals. This is the ones that cover your stomach. You have your pectorals. You have your quadriceps. Those are in front of your legs, and then behind your legs you have your hammies or your hamstrings. Alright, so those are some of the different ones. Then you also have a triangular shape muscle in the back, and that is your trapezius. Your trapezius. Okay, so let's go over those. Which muscle is your forehead? It's your frontalis. Which one is the top of your upper arm? That's your bicep. Which one's your heart? Boom, 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 boom. Your cardiac muscle. The upper leg in the back. Hammies, hamstrings, cheeks. That's your masseters. Upper leg in the front. That's your quads, your quadriceps. Can't you feel that when you do wall sits or the squats? Yeah, right. Those are your shoulder. Your shoulder is your trapezius, your trapezius. Your bottom of your upper arm, that's your triceps, and your abdomen would be your abdominal muscles. All right, which muscle would be responsible for a headache? This would be your frontalis. Which one is when you shrug your shoulders? You're using your trapezius back there. What about your heart muscle? That's your cardiac muscle. Your muscles are made mostly of protein, and if you get a very painful cramp, like I'm kind of getting right now, it's by a lack of calcium. Muscles, which are connected to your skeleton, are skeletal muscles, and the nerves are motor nerves. Let's see. What is the steady contraction of a muscle? The steady contraction, this is your muscle tone, alright? And so you have good muscle tone. The muscles are connected to bones, muscle to bone by tendons. Muscle to bone is tendons. Damage to muscle by overstretching it would be a strain. And muscles are made of threads called fibers. Ow, sorry. My feet are like going numb right now. Okay, now the next thing we did is we talked about the parts of your respiratory system, and you will need to know what are the hair-like forms that filter dust and pathogens when you breathe. The hair-like things are cilia. Cilia. They sound like little hairs, huh? What is the process by which air enters and leaves your body? External respiration. Your body carries carbon dioxide to your lungs. What's a sunshine vitamin? It's vitamin D. The moist lining of the nasal passages, gross, mucous membrane. The worst disease caused by smoking, it affects your lungs, lung cancer. And exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide is the major purpose of the respiratory system. Alright, which ones expand like tiny balloons to hold air? Tiny balloons to hold air is alveoli. Those little ones that look like little mini asparagus tops, those are alveoli. These branch from the trachea to the lungs. So this is where it first branches. It is bronchi. This separates chest cavity from abdominal cavity. That's your diaphragm. The voice box, that's your larynx. What is located at the back of your nasal passage? The back of your nose. That is your adenoids. Adenoids. What covers your windpipe? It's your little epiglottis. What's the name for your windpipe? It is the trachea. And the throat, another name for the throat, is the pharynx. The throat is the pharynx. All right, so let's go over those chapters one more time. A band of tough fibers that connects bone to bone. Bone to bone is ligaments. And ligaments link the bones to the bones. All right, the number of muscles in your body is more than 600. The process of breathing, external respiration. The sunshine vitamin, vitamin D. Sinuses are in hollow spaces in the front of your skull. Cilia are located in the air passages. Those are those little hairs. The flap of cartilage that covers the windpipe. It keeps it closed. It's like got a little pig sitting on it. Your epiglottis. Another name for the voice box. This is your larynx. The fibers that connect muscle to bone. Remember I told you it's like your chicken tenders? They're tendons. Muscles are made mostly of protein and the gentle pulling. Gentle pulling is just muscle tone. Skeletal muscles that move when you want them to, those are volunteers. They're voluntary. Another name for your heart muscle is your cardiac muscle. The diaphragm separates chest cavity from abdominal cavity. The bronchioles end in tiny little air sacs that look like little asparagus called alveoli. The two branches in the trachea, where it first branches, is the bronchi. Exercises that help your lungs use more air with less effort, those are aerobic exercises. Something you do without thinking about it. Habit. The shoulders and your hips. These are ball and socket joints. Knees, elbows, and fingers. They go back and forth like a door. Think about a door. A door has a hinge, and so it just goes back and forth. A door does not go swinging around like a ball and socket, but a ball could swing around. That'll help you remember. The 33 vertebrae make up your spinal column. Okay, which shoulder muscle? That's your trapezius. The top of your upper arm, bicep. The front of your upper leg. This is your quadricep. Your forehead. That's your frontalis. Your cheek to your chin. That's where you mash up your food. The masseters. And the bottom of your upper arm. That's the flabby layer, the tricep. Okay, how would we correctly lift an object that's heavy? You would bend your knees and keep your back straight and lift with your legs. Give 3 reasons why exercise is important. Well, it builds strong muscles, makes the body limber, rests the mind, improves circulation to your body. And don't forget, remember those bones. Skull, cranium, facial bones, clavicle, scapula, humerus, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, sternum, ribs, vertebrae, pelvis, femur, patella, tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. Next chapter is all about the teeth. So we have the outside, the hardest substance of the body. That is your enamel. Then we have the part that gives the tooth its shape. This is dentin. Then underneath that we have the blood vessels. And all the inside, that is the pulp. We have the layer that that goes between the cymindum and the jawbone. That is the periodontal membrane. And then we have the part that holds the tooth in place. That is the cementum. You have your different types of teeth and the different jobs that they do. What's the digestive juice in your mouth? This is saliva, a thin covering over the root which holds the tooth together. This is your cementum. Another name for cavities, dental caries, formed on the teeth when sugar mixes with plaque. You get acid. The inner part of the tooth containing nerves and blood vessels. This is your pulp. A hard bone-like tissue which forms and shapes the tooth. This is your dentin. When's the best time to eat sugar-rich foods? Right at meal times, right? You should brush your teeth as soon as possible after you eat and floss at least once a day. And plaque-producing bacteria are most active when? While you sleep. We also talked about your skin, and we talked about you have your 3 layers, your epidermis, your dermis, and your subcutaneous layer. You have your hair follicle, the part where it attaches. You have sweat glands, and you have your sebaceous glands, which have the oily substance. Okay, what's a thick, hard layer of epidermis? This is a callus. Redness, swelling, pus, and throbbing pain are signs of infection. Remember PRSNT, pus, redness, swelling, throbbing pain. A dark colored pigment that gives skin its brownish color. This is melanin. Harmful rays of the sun, we call them ultraviolet rays. And a wet burn affects all 3 layers of skin. A 3rd-degree burn. Don't forget, 1st-degree burn affects 1st layer of skin. 2nd-degree burn affects 1st and 2nd layer of skin. And a 3rd-degree burn affects 1st, 2nd, and 3rd layer of skin. Okay, and be familiar with those different things. What's a little sac from which the live cells of the hair grow? That is your hair follicle. The fatty layer of skin that stores energy. This is your subcutaneous layer. An oily substance that keeps the skin smooth and soft. This is your sebum. Glands that cool your body through perspiration. This is sweat glands. Perspiration is sweating. The most harmful disease caused by overexposure to sun is skin cancer. The outer layer of skin is the epidermis. 1st-degree burn. Oh, I just said that. How do we protect against disease? Remember, get enough sleep, get enough exercise, drink a lot of water, and eat the right food. All practical stuff. So a film of harmful bacteria on the teeth. This is plaque. The diseased dental caries is cavities. Hard bone-like tissue that forms a tooth. This is your dentin. The inner part of your tooth. That is the pulp. Plaque changes sugar to acid. Halitosis is caused by bacteria growing in your mouth. An infection of the gums leads to periodontal disease. The improper fitting of the upper and lower teeth. Malocclusion. The layer of skin that has the hair follicles, the sweat glands, and the sebaceous glands is the dermis. And a cream or lotion that screens out ultraviolet rays is sunscreen. A oily substance produced by the oil glands, sebum. And a dark colored pigment is melanin. What's a fatty layer of skin that stores energy? Subcutaneous layer. The outer layer of skin, epidermis. The dark colored pigment that gives skin brownish color, that's your melanin. A digestive juice in your mouth, saliva. Hard deposit of plaque, calculus. And a dentist who specializes in treating crowded, crooked teeth, orthodontist. Now, 3 ways to control plaque. Brush after eating, brush at bedtime, floss daily, eat less sweets, and go to the dentist. Don't forget, how will we treat some burns? For a 1st-degree burn, cool cloth. For a 2nd-degree burn, cool cloth and run it under cold water and put a bandage on it. 3rd-degree burn, just get immediate emergency medical treatment for that. For a 2nd-degree burn, since it affects both layers, you can get blisters as well. And the signs of infection, PRSNT, pus, redness, swelling, throbbing pain. The hardened skin around a nail, this is your cuticle, a nutrient that your body changes into vitamin A, carotene, a skin disease that causes a painful infection between the toes. This is athlete's foot. And head lice are usually spread by direct contact of people's heads. Nails are easier to trim when they are wet, but nails are easier to file down with a filer when they are dry. A torn cuticle that becomes sore, that is a hangnail. Good hygiene helps to prevent the spreading of disease. Two nutrients healthy skin, hair, and nails are protein and vitamin A, or you could have said carotene. Yes. I think, let me see. Did I get all the questions that I wanted to get? I did. So, basically, I was asking you a bunch of review questions from our previous tests and things that we have taken. And every single question that I asked is a I don't think there's anything on here that I have not covered. Yeah, everything that I just went over is going to be on your test. Remember, the last thing I had said that was important was how to grow spiritually and how your spiritual food, that is by reading the Bible. Your spiritual exercise is by obeying the Bible. Your spiritual rest is by resting in God's Word or praying and spending time with God. And your spiritual cleansing, that's by asking God for forgiveness for your sins. And that's the ways to grow spiritually. Everything that I've just covered and told you is important. That will be on your test. So I would just watch this and study with this unless you have your mom or dad who is willing to study with you. If not, just keep watching these until you know this video, and I will see you for the health exam.